Street Stories NYC. Street Stories NYC. Street Stories NYC. Hey, it's your boy Michael Knight, the New York Cowboy here, bringing you another episode from the Street Stories NYC series. Today our tale is taken from the 911 edition. Our story is called Marsha. 911, where's your emergency? The operator asked. Marsha wouldn't give her name, but she told the woman, it's on the North Conduit and 130th Street. There's been a terrible car accident. Then she hung up and quickly left the scene. When the police arrived, they found a young woman dead at the wheel of the car. She had a large butcher knife in her chest, and it looked like someone had placed a small doll in her arms. The officers at the scene were baffled, and when the detectives arrived on the scene, they went to work, putting together the clues. The next day, the phone rang again, and the operator picked up with her usual, 911, where's your emergency? Marsha responded, there's been a car accident on 130th Street and the Conduit, and she hung up again. The police arrived and found a man seated in the front seat of his smashed-up car with a butcher knife in his chest and a girl's red ribbon wrapped around his hands. When the detectives arrived on the scene, the reporters were already speculating that this was the work of a serial killer. The following day, the same call to 911 was made, only at the next light on the Conduit the accident happened. This time, another young woman was found in her wrecked car with a pair of girls' baby shoes around her neck and a butcher knife in her chest. The press had a field day with the story. They were calling the killer the baby butcher because the people that were killed were just out of their teens and the killer left baby items on the bodies. The next 2 days, 2 more bodies were found in the same condition with more little girl items attached to the bodies. The police placed undercover officers at the different traffic lights in hopes of catching the killer before he could strike again. There were now 5 dead young people, 3 girls and 2 boys. The phone rang and the operator answered again. 911, where's your emergency? Tell the police not to waste their time out by the highway. I'm done out there. There's only one more to go, Marsha said, and she hung up. The detectives called in all the parents of the young men and women that were killed, trying to find a common thread among them. It turned out that they all knew each other, and the parents didn't want to tell what had happened the previous year in almost the exact location where their children were killed. 1 year earlier, 3 couples were all out joyriding after a party in Brooklyn to celebrate the coming of the summer vacation. The sun had come up and everyone in the car had been drinking all night, and they were all smashed and they were going to breakfast. As they got to the light that was turning red, the driver stomped on the gas to make it across the intersection, and a little girl had just started across the street. They could all make out the little girl's father begging her to come to him, but in the blink of an eye, the speeding car hit her and hurled her in the air, and she was killed. Instead of stopping, the group agreed to run and not to help the child. The little girl's father ran and picked up her limp body, and her mother ran from the other side of the street to see her only child's broken, bloody body. Someone had gotten the license plate, and all of those that were in the car were arrested and brought to the station. The officer explained how Marsha had several miscarriages and that this was her miracle baby that she was able to carry to term. She would never be able to have another baby, and she worshipped the child. The father hung himself not long after because it was his idea to let the child run across the road to him. Marsha begged him, please, honey, don't be ridiculous. She's afraid. He insisted she's got to learn one day, and I'm right here. What could happen? Marsha was left alone now without a husband or a child. The only one charged in the death of the little girl was the driver of the car, and he was out on bail awaiting a sentencing. Marsha thought, a whole year after my child has been killed and the main one responsible is still able to go home and watch TV and do whatever he likes. He didn't even get charged with vehicular manslaughter, but a lesser charge with which he'll be out of jail before flowers can grow on my baby's tombstone. And the rest of those in the car pled no contest to a charge saying that they did not report the accident to authorities. Marsha was standing outside in the dark in front of the boys' parents' home. She peeked in the window and she was enraged as she watched them all sitting around the TV laughing. She wanted to kill the parents too, but she figured when she killed their children that they would feel the same kind of pain that she was feeling. The phone rang and the mother answered, and when she hung up, she had a distressed look on her face. Marsha could hear her telling her husband, her son, and her 2 daughters that they needed to lock the doors and windows. The police knew that the killer was most likely Marsha, and they figured that the boy was her next target after they spoke to the 911 operator. Marsha was already in the back door by the time the boy's mother came to lock it. She grabbed the mother around the neck and held the big butcher knife tightly against her throat. She made everyone sit down in the living room and started talking to the boy. "You killed my little girl, and you broke her body into little pieces and just left her to die. All of your friends that were in that car that night are dead. I made them all drive to the location where they killed my baby, and I made them all drive off of the road and crash. They begged for their lives. I saved you for last so that you could think about what you did," Marsha told him. The boy didn't cry or look afraid, and Marsha was surprised. "Don't you know that you're going to die?" she asked him. "I know that your name is Marsha, and I have a message from you from your daughter, Penelope," he said. Marsha's mouth practically dropped to the ground. "How did you know her name, and what do you mean you have a message for me?" Marsha asked. He told her, "Last night in my room your daughter appeared to me and she heard me crying, and she told me that I was forgiven. She told me to tell the other young people around me about the dangers of drinking and driving and getting high. She made me swear to never drink again. You may not believe me, but she told me that you were going to come for me. But she told me to tell you to stop killing. She said that when you get help and you get better, you may be able to be with her where she is. I know that you still don't believe me, but she said that you were going to stab me in my chest and put her name bracelet on my body. She said so that you know that it was her. She said you gave it to her on her 5th birthday, and you'll have it in your back right pocket." Marsha reached into her back right pocket and pulled out the little bracelet with the name Penelope on it, and she fell to her knees crying. The police came through the door, and Marsha offered no resistance. Marsha is in a padded cell now in Creedmoor Hospital on medication on suicide watch. Some of the nurses refuse to go into her room at night because they claim that they can hear the voice of a little girl in the room with Marsha every night. Street Stories NYC. Hey, it's your boy Michael Knight. Thanks again for tuning in. Hope you catch us again on our next episode of Street Stories NYC. You can check out the website, thenewyorkcowboy.com, streetstoriesnyc.com. Pick up a t-shirt, download a song, or just pick up a book. Thanks for tuning in. Check you again. Street Stories NYC.